All right, this is part 3 of the series. This is going to be the final episode. We're going to give my Super Bowl predictions. We're going to give my MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, all that good stuff. And we're going to also be recapping the playoffs all the way to the journey of the Super Bowl. First off, let me just say thank you for all the new comments and the subscribers. I think we're at 250 now, which is really great sign. So I'll keep out pumping more videos, and let's get right into it. First order of business, we're going to recap all of the teams. I'm just going to flash them on the screen here. AFC East, AFC North, AFC South, AFC West. And in the NFC, we're going to have NFC East, NFC North, NFC West, NFC South, all of those good stuff. You can see what your team's records are if you didn't. And you, by the way, you should go watch the other two videos where I give an in-depth detail so you don't get caught out of the blue why I'm giving these ratings. And also here the seed rankings, AFC seed ranking and NFC seed ranking. I think we should start with the award predictions first, and then we should get into the playoffs. So my award for MVP is going to be Patrick Mahomes. I think a diversified wide receiver group does help him a lot. This might be the best receiver core he's had in a while, ever since the 2020-2019 season. He's got Juju Smith-Schuster, he's got Sky Moore, MVS is going to play a role. He has McCole Hardman. He's got Justin Ross, undrafted free agent out of Clemson, who I had as a first-round grade all the way back in 2020. He also still has Travis Kelce. He's got a great offensive line. Patrick Mahomes is going to probably perform very well, but I think the defense is going to contribute to them having losses. And plus, it is a very stacked AFC West this year. But I have Patrick Mahomes as my MVP for the 2022-2023 NFL season. I have my Offensive Player of the Year as Justin Jefferson. I think this is a popular pick. Non-quarterbacks are usually given the Offensive Player of the Year when they are having a really good year. For example, Derrick Henry and Cooper Kupp have been the last two recipients, and I think that this year is going to be Justin Jefferson. It's going to be a pass-first offense in the Vikings system, and he is a top 5 receiver, arguable top 3, and I think he's going to get a ton of red zone targets, leading to him having a ton of touchdowns, and I think he could potentially have a 1,800 yard season ever since he had a 1,600 yard season last year. So I'm going to have my Offensive Player of the Year as Justin Jefferson. As my Defensive Player of the Year, I have Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, ever since he came into the league, has been one of the best, not only pass rushers, but also run defenders in the league. And TJ Watt had to have that crown last year because he tied the sack record. But also Myles Garrett was tied with him for the most pressures in the NFL. And if you want to count only defensive linemen, he was number 1. And I have Micah Parsons as my runner-up. I think he's going to have a 15-plus sack season coming off the edge, which I think he'll get more snaps in. That's why I have him as an edge rusher. I have him on. But I think that Myles Garrett is going to have probably a 19-20 sack season, since the Cleveland Browns secondary is so good. And the secondary really does help the defensive line because it gives them a little bit extra time to get more pressure on the quarterback. Have Myles Garrett as my Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year was the hardest one that I've done out of the awards. This is because everybody's on such an even playing field. It's hard to pick one definitive one that I think will win. Kenny Pickett, likely not going to be starting. He's taking third-string reps. Drake London, Marcus Mariota has never had a 1,000-yard receiver. I don't trust that Desmond Ridder is going to be the day one starter. Treylon Burks is having common asthma attacks on a run-first offense where he's not the wide receiver 1. Breece Hall is on a Jets team that had the least amount of carries in 2021. Garrett Wilson is on the Jets as well, where the Jets had a 58% completion percentage in total. Zach Wilson having only a 50% completion percentage. Christian Watson is the wide receiver 2 or 3 on that team, where Alan Lazard and Sammy Watkins are likely to get more targets than him, where he's going to be playing the Marcus Valdez-Scantling role. Sky Moore is one of the favorites to win this, but he's also the wide receiver 4 on the depth chart, and the Chiefs have a lot of receivers that are going to get targets, including Travis Kelce. And Chris Olave is also the wide receiver 3 on his team, where Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are going to get the majority of the targets. So it's very hard for me to pick because there are reasons why every single one of them can and every single one of them can't. I think the power rankings of my Offensive Rookie of the Year would have to be Breece Hall at number 1, because Breece Hall is a 99% athlete. He compares to guys like Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, guys like Christian McCaffrey. He projects as one of those elite running backs, and I think that Breece Hall has the best chance out of all these players to actually win Offensive Player of the Year or Offensive Rookie of the Year, due to him being very Jonathan Taylor-like. I think the second would have to be Drake London, because Drake London is going to get an abundance of targets. And then third is going to be Sky Moore, because Sky Moore is a talented receiver with a very talented offense and a very talented quarterback. So he's going to look good regardless. And then Kenny Pickett at 4, but Kenny Pickett might not even play this year. For Defensive Rookie of the Year, I have Kayvon Thibodeau. The Giants' defensive line is actually pretty good. Leonard Williams is a top 15 defensive lineman. He made a Pro Bowl in 2020. They also have Azeez Ojulari, who they drafted last year. They also still have Dexter Lawrence. So Kayvon Thibodeau is already coming into a pretty good defensive line as it is, and I think he has a 10-plus sack season. I really like Kayvon Thibodeau's projection to the NFL, even though he wasn't the greatest college player stemming out of Oregon. But he does project very well to the NFL. Reminds me of a guy like Chase Young. For the Comeback Player of the Year, I have Michael Thomas. Jameis is likely going to target him a lot. Jameis Winston really likes safety net receivers. We saw that with Mike Evans back in Tampa Bay. So I think Michael Thomas probably gets in that range of 1,200, 1,300 yards, similar to what he did with Drew Brees, where I know he was called Slant, the Slant Man, Slant Boy, whatever he called, but he's going to get those yards. He's going to get yards after catch, but I just hope he doesn't get injured again, because he's missed the last 2 years. And I think that Jameis Winston, speaking of him, is my second Comeback Player of the Year candidate. I think one of the Saints players definitely does get it. And for the Coach of the Year, I have Sean McDermott. Coaches of the Years are given to the 1 seed or the best record in the NFL or the best performing coach, and I had that being Sean McDermott. I have the Bills going 13-4. They have the best record in the NFL, so he will win his first Coach of the Year. If you wanted to see my list again, in a concrete order, here it is: MVP Patrick Mahomes, Justin Jefferson, Myles Garrett, Breece Hall, Kayvon Thibodeau, Michael Thomas, Sean McDermott. Just if you wanted to see the list with the pictures up, and also if there was any confusion. All right, I'm back. Different time. You see, I'm a little sunburned, but that doesn't matter. We're gonna be going over the entire NFL playoffs, leading all the way to the Super Bowl. Let's go. Let's just start off with the AFC wildcard. These are the matchups I have. I have the Chiefs going up against the Raiders. I have the Chiefs as my 2nd seed, Raiders as my 7th seed. I have Bengals, Ravens, because I'm factoring in Deshaun Watson in my playoffs. And then I have the Colts, Chargers as the 4th and 5th seeds. For the Chiefs, Raiders, I have the Chiefs coming out on top. They're the better team. Bengals, Ravens, I had the Bengals. The Bengals destroyed the Ravens in their head-to-head matchups in 2021, 2022. And for the Colts, Chargers, I have the Chargers. They're the superior team, and they're coming in on the 5th seed. And with that being said, here is the NFC wild card. I have the Bucs, Saints. Bucs the 2 seed. I have the Vikings, Packers, and I have the Eagles, 49ers. Out of this, I have the Bucs coming out on top. I have the Vikings, and then I have the 49ers. That is the wild card round. All right, so since we went over the wild card, we're going to go into divisional territory. Now, I have the Kansas City Chiefs, and I have the Cincinnati Bengals going up based on seed rankings, and then I have the Chargers, and I have the number 1 Bills. Let's go the top matchup. I have the Chiefs coming out of that divisional matchup. I think they're going to get revenge against the Bengals. They probably should have won that game if they didn't choke. Now, I have the Chargers Bills. This was the hardest decision I've made through here, and it's purely because they're both bad matchups for each other, but they're also both good matchups for each other. The Chargers don't rush the ball that well. Bills can't really play the run, but also the Bills can't run the ball, and the Chargers can't really stop the run. So, but the only thing that I've concluded is that in my heart, I just feel like the Bills aren't going to win the Super Bowl this year. They have a good chance to make it, but I just don't think they're going to win. Number 1 preseason odds teams, only 6 have ever won. And I don't think that the Bills are one of those teams that is ultra dominant against every other team. We'll have to see, but I have the Chargers coming out on top. I have the Bucks, and I have the 49ers, sorry. And I have the Bucks coming out on that pretty easily. They're the better team, and don't think that the 49ers are going to make it all the way. It's either you got Jimmy G or you got second-year Trey Lance. Second-year Trey Lance probably isn't going to be an MVP-type caliber player, unless he is. I just don't see that happening. Then I have the Rams, Vikings, and I have the Rams coming out on top. Superior team. They've got a better defense. They're probably going to win that. If they play that, probably going to win that game. Moving on to the AFC Conference or AFC Championship game, it is the Chiefs Chargers, and this is a very hot take because overwhelmingly the Chiefs have dominated the Chargers ever since Justin Herbert got there. They've beaten them 3-1, but let me say this: the Chargers are a better team on paper, not a better actual team, but like a better team on paper than the Chiefs. They have a better defense. They have better edge rushers, better secondary. They got more star receivers than Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. They've got a better running back. They've got a better they've got like kind of the same offensive line. But the defense, I think, wins out in this game. Chiefs usually have a hard time because they give up a lot of points in the playoffs, and that kind of bites them, especially last year, where they were giving up a lot of points to the Bills. They gave up a good amount of points to the Bengals as well. So I'm going to have the Chargers coming out of that matchup. I think in the shootout, I think Justin Herbert finally closes the deal. He's been super clutch, but his defense has not been clutch ever. And I think that it finally happens for him. The Chargers go to the Super Bowl. And then for the NFC Championship game, I have it being the Bucks and the Rams. I don't think that the Rams are going to repeat. I don't even think the Rams are going to make it to the Super Bowl twice. It's very rare for a team of that caliber that didn't get that much better over the offseason to go back to the Super Bowl. The Rams kind of lost. They lost a big piece in Von Miller, and their depth is not great. Their offensive line is not great. So I have the Bucks, who are a superior team on paper. They've got a better depth chart. I'm going to have them going to the Super Bowl and them going up against the Chargers. And then finally, I have the Super Bowl as the Chargers, Bucks. This is going to be Tom Brady's final year, final Super Bowl. You have the Chargers, and I see, drumroll please, I have the Chargers as my Super Bowl winner. I think that the Bucks have a really good chance to win this Super Bowl, but I just have a feeling that the Chargers are going to win this Super Bowl based on the fact that they have a really good offense. They have a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. Really rare to see that in the NFL. The Chargers have elite edge rushers. Chargers have an elite secondary. Chargers have an elite receiving game as well, and they have a really good quarterback, really good offensive line. But the Bucks, I think it's going to be a close game. I have it being 24-21. That is my final score for the Super Bowl. But for clarity, I think that these 5 teams all have an extremely good chance of making the Super Bowl. Chiefs, Chargers, and the Bills, and then the Bucks and Rams. I think those are the 5 teams. I think 2 of those 5 teams will make the Super Bowl, if that's a prediction, if you want to call it. But I have the Chargers being my Super Bowl champs. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow my TikTok at BigRigsYT. And thank you guys so much for watching.